Hi everyone, it's Caroline. I am back with my flip through of the glue book that the alphabet glue book that I had made, and now it's complete. Well, it's complete enough to show you. I can still pick it up and write things in if I want, or glue things in, but I think it's pretty solid right now. This is a little journal that I had made a couple years ago, and it's just out of some cardboard packaging and some a free printable that I had taken off the internet a while ago. Anyway, I was looking for the date that I put my hummingbird feeders out last year, so I took it out, and I did find, I have two signatures in here, just a tiny little notebook, and I did find when I put them out, and it was last year in, oh here, May the 5th of last year is when I put the first hummingbird feeder out. So this is, I just wanted to show you a quick little, cute little kitchen drawer journal that I made out of some scraps, and there it is. And now we'll go to the glue book. Yes, my alphabet glue book is complete. I added a couple little, this was a sticker from a bottle of, a Rolly bottle that had some fragrance in it, and I finished that, and I just added a couple little scrappy flowers. This was from a package of scrapbook paper that was, I mean, many, many years old, so I've stuck that on there. And I did start this one with a Painty Papers garbage, or not garbage bag, but sorry, paper bag that was dyed. And I used that to help make the spine a little more secure. And the inside pages were the leftover pages that I used from my seed catalog that were, I kept them whole. And my December journal that I had made was the catalog book, but with the pages folded over. So anyway, here we are. Oh my, I don't know if we'll fit into the, I'll do one side at a time. So I have the A's here, and I've written little notes when I'm flipping through and something reminds me of whatever any memory. I'll just pop it in here in a you know, a spot that I can write in. Everything that you see in here is also just junk, total junk, whether it's mail that comes through, magazine, like here, I found Paul Anka. He was in one of my vintage magazines that I have, and I have a piece of my cash register tape, which you'll see through here and through my journaling, because I have lots of this that I had to keep for my taxes, and I just took them out of my files as I could get rid of them, and then I tea dyed them or coffee dyed them or did something like that. So I wrote notes on there. And here's a tag that I made out of my scrap storage book that I use as a collage on the pages, and then I just, you know, cut them up. And then I wrote on the back of that. So that was the A. Here's B. And B was completed, oh, I don't remember. I didn't keep track of when I completed them, but there really was no more space on here, and I've written some notes in here also. Here's a tag that I made. I had made this tag previously before I even had this glue book started, but I wanted to use it to keep some notes, and so I wrote just a little something on here, and I have a note on the back. I also have some notes that I wrote. This was made out of an envelope that I berry dyed, and then I used, I think I wrote on here, yeah, this pocket was created while playing with sprays and watercolors on an envelope junk mail, berry dyed. So just keeping notes about like that. And it's a pocket, but I'm just using that part as to hold it in with the paper clip, like so. And then I have just this little cluster that I made with some of my vintage, the bust, I called this the bust cluster. And this was made in April when I was using some of my vintage magazines. And then here's just a butterfly that I had made earlier. So that's that page, the B. The C is, I do have some writing on here also, some notes. And I really like the C. Well, I like them all, but this one is really cool because I have a lot of the Columbia House, I guess the insert that was in one of my vintage magazines, and I used that with the groups or the artists starting with C, which, you know, just brought back so many memories. And I used, I just made a little cluster here, made some notes, and this is a cluster, and I just used my stapler for that, and the other side of the paper clip just to hold that in. And here's the D. So the C, way back, I was supposed to do, this was going to be D, but I called these, I forget what I called them. I think I made a note somewhere, but now I can't find it. So anyway, I added this page as my D's. Oh, so I made this flip, which you cannot see. I'll just bring this over a little bit here so you can. So this is the D section that I made, and it's got just, you know, all kinds of little D: dessert, the devil, dancer, and then I had the word dreamer, and it sparked the Supertramp song, You're Nothing But a Dreamer, and I put some of the words there. And then here I had Dreamweaver, which was in a magazine, so I put that on here. Of course, that sparked Gary Wright's song, Dreamweaver, I Believe You Can Get Me Through the Night. And that, all these songs are, well, everything's a song for me, so. And I used my cash register tape as I made a pocket, and I used my my mobile business was Curl Caravan, so I used my business cards that I still have some of those, and I used that, and I used them as journaling tags, wrote on there. And then I also used some pamphlet pages that I got when we were away, and I used those also as journaling spots inside. And that was that. So that was the D, which, yeah, that was fun. They were all fun. And here we are in the E section, and I wrote here on this envelope that I had made. A lot of the things I didn't necessarily make for the journal, and I had them in my stash. I have a flow book that I have things that I have made previously. I also have a couple books storage books that I made. I'll go through with those with you at another time, because they're great ideas, which we've seen on YouTube, I know. So this here was amazing. The timing's always, it just blows my mind how the timing works. So I made this envelope out of some scrap papers for this, and it had the number 36 as I made it. I did not think ahead about this. So 36 was no big deal at the time. So here's my little envelope, and here, you know, you can put something in here and you can put something in there. But I flipped it upside down because we went to visit my mom's husband, and he was giving me an envelope that had some personal items in her. He's still finding things in the house. So I took them, and one of them was, this is a mixed party ticket from when we got married in 1988. A lot of our friends also got married. So that's a mixed party for one of our friends that got married. So I took that, and that's my journaling spot here. The other thing I found well, there's a picture of my brother too, but it fell out somewhere and I can't find it. But this is a school picture of me. This is in grade 11. And here in grade 11, I was 16 years old. So here's a picture of my mom in the government. This was her card. And on it, it says, this was May 1979. She was born in 1943. So you do the math, and she's 36 years old on this, which, here's the 36. Well, I mean, you just couldn't plan that, you know. And I'm 16 and or 17, because my mom's 21 years older than me, so it was just perfect. And my brother, I will put the picture in here of my brother, so that was amazing. Just had to share that. And then here's the F, and the F, I just wrote a couple little things. I didn't really have, I felt that I didn't need to put in tags and storage compartments, because I could just write things. And I mean, I might later, but right now I think this is appropriate. It's nice. I like the colors. Little fairy that I made there, watching Janet Nash. She inspired me to, I've been doing faces, but this was just so cute and easy. Here's the G section. And, well, gardens were my mom's love. She loved gardens. I love gardens. And I just used this particular page as a flip out, or a tip in, I suppose I could say that. Wrote a little note here. My little gecko. My motorcycle is this color, and I called my motorcycle my gecko. So that's what I wrote about there. You know, just fun memories. Here's the H section. And the H section, well, it's hearts and hummingbirds and all fun stuff like that. I wrote a little bit here. Then I used this envelope this was sitting in my stash also, and I had not done anything to it. So I used it for this page. And again, I used some of my scraps from my storage book, scrap storage book. And I journaled on the back here and made a little fairy for this one. This one here, I had a tab that was, again, I had made that a while ago and it was just kind of hanging around. So I used that, and I wrote on the back here, I did that blackout thing and I put view on time. Well, after I did that, I felt like, wow, this is appropriate, because here's a window which you view out of. These are peeking out. I don't know, you know, maybe you make too much of these things, but this is how my brain works. And then I wrote here, for our view is always on time and looking through the window. So I don't know, does that mean anything? It does to me. All these little sayings and snippets and thoughts, they're all very appropriate for us individually. There we go. She's looking out the window. I added a little butterfly again in from my little pile, and a stamp. And that's the H's. Here we are going into the eyes. Little rabbit tab and tag. So along with the other tab that I have in the previous page, I had this one here, which was magazine or catalog, and I put these rabbits on it. I think I was going to do something else, and then I never used it, but this was great to hold on to this tag. So tabs and tags here, nothing to do with the letter I, but I wrote on here, and this is, I made this tag. I made a bunch of these for little gifts from our daughter's baby shower for her first child. So I just wrote about that, and I just thought it was cute because here's a rabbit, and there's a little rabbit here, little woodland creatures. Here's the J, and I wrote quite a few notes on the J, lots of things to spark. And here, this guy's jumping for J, jumping for joy. And here's a jar, and I just wrote my own quote. It's not how far you jump, but where you land. That's my quote. I don't know if somebody else has that. And then I always put my jar is always half full, which that's what I believe. My jar is half full. Jumpsuit. I wore jumpsuits in the 80s. This was great. I even wrote down, and there's a store that we used to have here in Ontario or in Canada called Dalmy's. And I ordered a catalog order for the first time. I remember that. I was 20 years old, had a job, and it was 1984, and I bought my first, it just brings back these memories, like had a denim jumpsuit. So Jelly Bellies, well, that was our granddaughter. We went last weekend to visit, and after swimming lessons, I gave them each, my granddaughter and grandson, I gave them each some money so they could use the money at the vending machine, and Anna got Jelly Bellies. And this is just a scrap piece of paper that I just, I laced it up on the end, and I added a stamp, and then I wrote something in there. And I used this to keep it down. Yeah, the Jelly Belly bag is the holder. So that was fun to do. Really enjoyed that one also. The next page is the K's. Well, we went to Kelsey's. That was last weekend. Took our son and our granddaughter and grandson. Mom went out with some friends, so that was great for her. And then so we went out to Kelsey's, and our grandson, he chose the Sour Patch, and I chose Sour Patch also. So here's another tag that I had made, journaled on the back. These are really fun to use too. And in the knife and the key slot, I kept that open. I don't know why I ever did. I think I wanted to put some other K photos in, or pictures or whatever, but I used it as my belly band. And here's another one of these scrappy collage cards, and I made I just did a quick flower that I put some scraps and on one of my book pages, just to add something extra there. So there we are. And then else, I didn't put anything extra. I just did some writing, some things that triggered my memory. Lighthouses and camping and all that fun stuff. Yeah, so that was good. We have the M's. So then afterwards, when I figured it was complete, I also did, I put my salon that I had was called Main Level Salon. And I wrote on here, because also in the M section is mirrors. Well, in a salon, you have many mirrors. So I put, as a beauty salon, I had lots of mirrors. That's kind of obvious, but I thought I just wanted to write that down. And then also, Michelle Obama's hometown is Chicago. And this part of the map that I had is Chicago. Well, that was not planned. It's just the way it all ended up. So I thought that was cool. And then here, the mountains, I didn't have any more space, but I thought, well, I'll just use this as a journaling spot. So that's what I did. I tipped it in, and I wrote on here. I wrote quite a bit on here. And I just used my washi tape to stick it in there. And then the N, well, this one started. Yeah, they started slow, but then they picked up some speed. And I just added a few things. Well, Newfoundland, I have lots to say about Newfoundland. I love this province. I love it, love it. We did an epic motorcycle ride from our home in Canada, so the suburbs of Ottawa, to Newfoundland. Oh, it was amazing. Anyway, I could go on about that. So so I made this tag out of my collaged scraps, and I added on some fussy cutting that I had done, and it's in my little pile. Did some writing on there. Took some book page words. And I did that. I put a tag on here, stuck a little bit of an eyelet and a piece of fabric up here, and I put this little bit of broken jewelry. And on the back here, I had this cup of tea that I think it was floating around for a while, and I didn't have any space in my teas, and I thought, well, I'll just put it on somewhere. So I figured the writing that was on here just didn't work out. So I put the teacup there, and then I took pieces of this part of the map, Newfoundland, and I just covered it up, and it worked out perfect. And I put here, as I sip my cup of tea, which is very true, I sip throughout the day, and I remember our ride to Newfoundland, and look at the pictures. That's what I do. I reminisce. And that was that. The O's, again, I did not put anything on here as far as journaling cards or anything, but this black piece of bag with our hometown on it, and that's what I wrote, my hometown, which I love and lived in all my life. Thank you for amazing memories, and that's all I did there. And I just look here, and we visited the White House when we were kids. Even in high school, that was a high school trip. Not when these guys were there, but anyway, that was just lots of great memories again. This here, I think I said that before. This looks like Percé in along the Gaspé, but I'm not sure. Anyway, lots of fun things. Here we are in the P's. And I think I talked about this when I did this this glue session, but here's a card, endless possibilities. So this had to go here. It's pink, lots of pink. I wrote what's in your pocket. And, you know, just again, pleasure, play. My pleasure play is with paint, patterns, and lots of pink. And then I wrote, and I wrote in here in my journaling card, and I also put in some receipts. And then we go to Q. Well, this one ended up being so fun. I did not know what I was going to do for Q's. It is hard to come up with some words, you know, but the challenge was there and it was great. It did not disappoint. I'll just take out everything here. I have a belly band, so I used I think this was done with my first rip out of my page, my scrappy pages. But I did all QR codes on here. A couple of, you know, this was an advertisement. And this was a pocket that I made. And I put that in here too. Here's a QR code that, I mean, everything just worked out again appropriately. A card that was laying around in here that I had made when I first started journaling. I was just playing around, did not know. And I wrote out, let today come what may. I don't know. I wrote that out a long time ago. So I put that there, and I wrote, here's a tag that I wrote on, and here's a bunch of papers that I had taken from our daughter's place, and I wrote on there. And so that goes in here. Lots of memories. And again, more journaling tags. And paint. Oh yeah, I am at a loss for words because there's just so much going on, but I love it. It's great. It's great to pull these out and look at them. That was my cues. Love the cues. So go ahead, get your QR codes and just use it as wallpaper. It's great. It's fun. And I haven't scanned them to see. I mean, I have no idea what these are. Some of them might give me a little bit of a clue, but that would be fun. The R section here is, well, roses, rabbits, ribbon, and I put some of my favorite things, which is honestly the truth. We love rhubarb. My husband and I'm growing some, and it's getting a little bigger every year. I make strawberry rhubarb pie, which, oh, we look forward to that. And rockets, well, have nothing to do with rockets. I did go to Cape Canaveral to see rockets. And, you know, here's a little pocket that I made because I made this tag, which has rows. Oh, and I have this tiny little, I must say, I have this tiny, tiny little, I don't know if you can see it. Let me do this again. I have this tiny little, what do you call this? A stamp that came as a I believe it's a thank you gift when I ordered some stamps from, ordered a couple stamps from Maki, M-A-K-I company. Anyway, I had this stamp, but I didn't know what to put it on, so I glued it to this cork, and that might be a good little tip. If you have tiny little rubber stamps, grab a cork, and that's what I use. So it works perfectly. Okay, moving on here. So this is a tag. And I just wrote on here, this was fun to create. I wrote on the back. So that sits up here in this section. All right, we'll flip the page again. So the S is here. Again, I did not put anything extra here, and I don't even think I wrote anywhere. I did find this little, it was silly. I don't know what that was out of. I think it was out of one of the vintage magazines. It caught my eye and I took it out and I just put it there because it just reminded me of when I was well, even today. There's a lot of things that I think are silly and make me laugh, and my girlfriends and I used to just get real silly, as I'm sure a lot of you do. Anyway, that was funny. I just put it there. The T's, this was fun. You know, and even after when I looked at this, I look at, this is thread, or you could say twine, anything with a T. I also looked at it from far away for a while and I thought, oh, that could even be toilet paper. It's not, it's thread, but I mean, that would be T also. Okay, so that was, so here on Trader Joe's is a grocery store in the United States. And then we have here a picture of a beach with a palm tree. So I did not do these together on purpose, but it kind of reminded me of the trade winds, and it just, I don't know. Again, am I stretching? So I did this one, I actually used this little tiny scrap of paper. It was just handy, and out of the corner of my eye, I glued it on here and used it as a spot, a tuck spot. And then this was a receipt from the other day, so I put that in here. And this was just a painty piece of paper that I folded up and made a pocket. I had this little scrap also. And there's my little grocery receipt. And this here was also something that I had out of one of my magazines, and I wrote on here. And it's light. What I like about this, oh, see, it just lifted off because I went too hard. I'll have to re-glue that. But what I like about this is that it was lightweight, so it wasn't going to add too much bulk. Yeah, so I went a little bit too hard here. I will use a different glue to fix that, so that'll be fine once I glue it. The U's, no, I didn't write anything in here. I wrote, oh, unicorns. That's our granddaughter who just turned 1 in March, last month, because we're April. Lee, she's a unicorn girl. She's got unicorns in her room, so that's what that sparked that in me. Pardon my voice again. It's this is an ongoing battle with the cold. So the V's here, that was fun. Vintage, right? Just everything vintage. Wow. And this was not hard to do. Well, the pictures of things with the V. Of course, I'm things that come across my path, not that I was looking for them. And then I made this packet. I called this my journal packet. That is described in my video that I made a couple days ago. And here's a card again from one of my scrappy collage. And so that goes this way in under my vintage, literally vintage ribbon or trim. This was from my mom's stash, and this was, I remember this from the 70s. Wow, I can't believe we're vintage at that, but that's where we are now. So the W was made and was finished at our daughter's place when we were visiting. And that's got lots of writing on it. I made this, there's a video about this one too. And I've journaled, used antique photos. I think these are antique now because that's from the 20s. So I think it's 100 years old that you're an antique. And then again, just scraps, lots of fun things. The X, well, that was a hard one, so I used a big page which came across my path. We used a clean part of a tortilla bag that I put here. I put a couple more. Oh, here's the xylophone that when I first started this journey of my glue book, I said, oh, I'm going to have to get a xylophone or something. And sure enough, the children's encyclopedias that I have, that was in there. So that was fun. And also X's and O's. I loved playing that as a little girl, still do. And here is the Y's. Nothing too much in here, just some memories. Going to hot yoga with our daughter, that was fun. And even, you know, like you've got the long-haired yak in Tibet. Well, Tibet, I think, is synonymous with, you know, yoga, like retreats and just very relaxing, I think. And then yummy, another yummy, and then it was, I've got love in my tummy. This reminds me of hanging out with my aunt, one or two of them anyway, that were close to my age, not too much older. They used to babysit me, so I learned a lot of funky songs, groovy songs in those days. And then the Z. Here we are, zippers and this big bag of, that was also in another video, big bag of dog food that came through. The signature zebra, and I didn't write anything there because this is a heavy enough page. And then the last page, just a couple little doodads that I stuck on there. And that is the end of my alphabet glue book, which was so fun to make. I encourage anybody, if you're looking for something to maybe it's just difficult to just make a glue book and just glue anything in there. I mean, collaging is great, and I love collaging, but I wanted something that I didn't have to, make a picture out of, although sometimes they could have turned out that way. But the alphabet, it just kind of stretched me a little bit too, for what I have around me. I did purchase a couple magazines that I wanted anyway, so I did use those. But really, for the most part, this is all just junk that I've already had. So go ahead, make yourself some kind of a fun, winging it, just for fun, just for nothing, a little bit of a freedom play, a glue book, or whatever you'd like. Everybody stay adventurous and be fresh. I will catch up with you later. Thanks for coming along. Bye for now.